Welcome to another episode of Let's Be Perfectly Queer here on Rogers TV Barrie. I've got two exciting guests on the show this evening to talk about the upcoming Muskoka Pride Week. Actually, truth be told, we're taping this, it's the upcoming Muskoka Pride Week, but this show will air on the Sunday of the Muskoka Pride Week. So by the time we come to air for folks, there'll be a couple of days events that may have been missed, but hopefully folks watching will have actually been able to take part in those events. So let's start with my guests. On the show today, I have Shawn Forth. Shawn is an elementary teacher with the Trillium Lakelands District School Board. He is also the secretary of Muskoka Pride and coordinates the annual Muskoka Pride Week, which runs this year from February 18th to 26th. Welcome to the show, Shawn.
Great. Actually, it's July 18th. February, that was a little while ago.
What the heck am I doing? Yeah, July. Sorry.
Pre-COVID.
Nothing in the age of COVID, right? So, and with Shawn tonight is Autumn Smith. Autumn is a director, curator, educator, and innovator. She's the current artistic and executive director of Littlewoodsmith, a theater company that brings quality theater performance and education to the residents of Muskoka. Littlewoodsmith will be presenting a virtual performance of the Laramie Project on Friday, July 24th, in support of Muskoka Pride. Welcome to the show, Autumn.
Thank you so much. It's wonderful to be here.
Well, I'm very excited to hear about the Laramie Project and what that's going to look like as part of the Muskoka Pride Festival this year. But let's begin with you, Shawn, and maybe just give folks an overview of what the festival is going to look like this year, especially with COVID-19 going on.
Yeah, it's going to look a lot different than in previous years. We had great plans back in January and February. Then we brought everything to a halt once COVID hit. And back in late May, we started rethinking what could Pride look like here in Muskoka. So we know, having done the Muskoka Queer Film Festival back in May, what an online event looks like. And it was a mammoth undertaking. So we realized we needed to do a combination of in-person and virtual where we're able to. So we're actually having some low-key events where people can be masked and socially distant and still gather together. And we are having some virtual events as well. What we've learned is in Muskoka, because of the vast geography, people really do need to come together and network and meet other people in the rainbow community. So we've done our best to try to have a nice combination. So instead of a parade this year, we're doing a road tour around Muskoka. So we're having people decorate their vehicles, and we have two different routes on the 18th and then the 26th of July. And it's basically a chance to bring Pride to the main streets of most of the towns in Muskoka. So we're doing more parades than usual, if you want to look at it that way. We're having a virtual church service with the Ballaport Carling United Church. It's great because they've been doing it virtually since March. So again, recognizing our lack of technical capability, we were able to tap into some organizations that are already doing some amazing things. And they're one of 4 affirming churches in Muskoka, so it's great to partner once again with Reverend Sue Woods and the amazingly welcoming members of the Port Carling and Bally United Churches.
That's fantastic. So
yeah.
the road tour is taking place on the 18th?
Yeah, so in Huntsville on the 18th and Bracebridge and around Lake Muskoka on the 26th. So 2 different times people can join in.
Okay, awesome. That's fantastic. Now, are you finding? I'm assuming just like with the Queer Film Festival, you've probably reached folks that you might not have otherwise reached because of the fact that everything's had to go virtual. Are you seeing that with hopefully what's going to happen with the Pride Festival this year as well?
We are hoping to, and then when we do some of our regular events like our flag raisings, we've decided all of them will be live streamed to Facebook, so that way anyone who normally would not be able to attend can basically take part through their computer. And in fact, some of the towns have been made very clear, no more than 10 people. We are following strict guidelines, even though they'll change on Friday. Luckily for us, we're still going to be going ahead with that with our original plans. Love how things have to be very fluid this time of year.
Right. So where will the flag be raised throughout Muskoka?
Well, we have six municipalities in Muskoka and Wata First Nation, so we have 7 flag raisings happening on Tuesday and Monday of next week.
Wow. That's fantastic. And they're all live streamed on Facebook?
Yeah. Well, yes, they're all going to be live streamed on Facebook.
Excellent. Now,
watch this.
Those will be recorded, I guess, so people can watch them if they're not able to watch them live as well, right?
That's what we hope. Sometimes Facebook Live does work for us well that way. Sometimes it does not. So we are hopeful.
Okay, cool. I know when we did a flag raising here for National HIV Testing Day back at the end of June, and I know there was someone there that did a live stream, but I also had my husband there doing a recording, so I might suggest that have someone do a recording that's part of the crowd too. So if the live stream doesn't record for folks to watch afterwards, you'll still have access to it. So just
we appreciate that. Yes, good idea.
And so, what about the balance of the week? What else is happening throughout Muskoka?
Well, just today we put on Facebook 2 driveway drag shows that are going to be happening this year, because we normally do a drag show at Sawdust City Brewery, but again, because of all the limitations, even they're opening up the brewery, they're still not doing any entertainment and so forth. So We're going to be doing them in 2 driveways here in Bracebridge on Tuesday and Thursday of the week. We've decided on Wednesday to support many of the local restaurants that have been doing takeout business. So we're doing a takeout dinner and tailgate party, again, socially distanced in Memorial Park on Wednesday the 22nd, I think it is. And we have a mini golf tournament, and then we get to our 2 bigger events, which is on the Friday the 24th, the Laramie Project, and on Saturday the 25th, we actually are doing an encore presentation of the Muskoka Queer Film Festival Pride Edition. We're reliving 7 of the amazing short films we had back in May, and we've actually added 3 more films.
Oh, wow. That's fantastic. Yeah, I loved the film festival. I mean, it was disappointing that we couldn't be there live for it, but the virtual event and being able to sit in the comfort of my home and watch some of those amazing films was wonderful. So, yeah, kudos to you and the team for pulling that off. I know it was not an easy feat.
Yeah, it was quite a pivot from doing it live at the Ringcase Theatre to doing it online, but we realized what we can and can't do, and it did work. We were excited. We had people from actually many different countries taking part, so that actually extended the reach of the MQFF.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the bonuses, I guess, of living in the age of COVID and everything going virtual and online. You're able to actually connect with folks that you wouldn't otherwise. I've certainly seen that in some of the work that I do in the programming that we do here at the Gilbert Center. We've had, the stretch of our reach has expanded greatly. And I think it's one of those things that even once things go back to whatever the new normal is going to look like, I think you're still going to see a lot more online programming for folks who just, for whatever reason, either have mobility issues or difficult to actually come into the center to take part in different events and projects. So that's wonderful. Speaking of projects, the Laramie Project. So I'm going to get to you in a second, Autumn, but I want to know from Shawn, what was the impetus behind choosing the Laramie Project and including this sort of an event as part of Muskoka Pride this year?
Actually, all the kudos go to Autumn, because she was the one who suggested it a year ago, and we were contemplating doing it live, and then it was a matter of, again, pivoting this year of, can it be done? And we felt it still could be done.
So that's fantastic. Okay, that's cool. Well then, Autumn, tell me about the Laramie Project for those that don't know, and I was certainly familiar with it when I talked to Shawn about coming on the show, but I thought I couldn't remember whether I'd actually watched the film or not. I knew I had never seen the play live, but I watched the film actually last night with my husband and realized that, to my shock, I had not seen it before. But I think back when it was released I think the film was released in 2002, so I still would have been deeply closeted at that time. So that's probably why I never actually watched it. But powerful film, so I can only imagine what the live performance would be like. So tell the audience what the Laramie Project is all about and why you thought it was important to bring it to the Muskoka Pride Festival.
Awesome question. I love the Laramie Project. It's a verbatim piece of theater, which means it's taken from multiple sources, interviews, journal entries, but all real documents that were basically joined together by Moises Kaufman and the Tectonic Theater Company. So every person that is named in the play is a real person, right? Whether it be, the rancher or Aaron Kreifels, they're all real people living in Laramie, Wyoming, which is where the play takes place, hence the Laramie Project. And the Laramie Project basically focuses on the community response to the death of Matthew Shepard about 22 years ago. And Matthew Shepard was a young gay man, a university student who was brutally attacked and left to die on a barbed wire fence in a field outside of Laramie. So it focuses on the community and how this horrific hate crime jolted them into a difference. It's a remarkable piece of work. And I was fortunate enough to do it live with teenagers about 7 years ago at Stage Door Manor in New York. And I was like, I moved up to Muskoka about 2 years ago, and Shawn is actually our son's teacher. And we got talking about Muskoka Pride, and I'm like, oh, Laramie Project would be a great initiative to do like a workshop reading. We can do a benefit for Muskoka Pride. And then we kind of shifted it into this idea of doing it virtually. So it's still a reading, but it's kind of a polished reading. And it's going to take the form of a bit of a documentary style. So a little bit like the movie, which is exciting. It's challenging all of my technology non-verbiage as it is verbiage. So it's interesting. It's a great process. I'm learning something new. I'm working with 15 phenomenal young actors from this area and Toronto, who I've worked with before. So yeah, I've pulled them in one by one, and they're doing all their bits, and we're piecing it all together. It's really exciting.
So will it actually be done live, or are you going to be taping these segments and editing them all together, or a bit of both?
Well, here I'm going to edit the actual piece, but we are going to do a Zoom in-person talkback.
Cool.
The piece does not read well when you have 15 people on a screen, because you don't know where to focus. And I think this will just lend better to the actual reading. So it'll look a little bit more polished.
That's fantastic. And so again, all of the 15 actors in this piece are local talent, either from Simcoe, Muskoka, or the GTA. They're local. A lot of them now live in Toronto, being actors. Got to go where the work is. Right to the big city. A lot of them I know from my time at York University. So I have two young actors. In fact, the narrator lives in Gravenhurst. So that's really exciting. And yeah, they're really, they're an incredible group of actors who are thoughtful, empathetic, curious, and playful. And it's just a joy. It's a joy to work with them time and time again. I can only imagine. I'm now, Shawn, will this be something that will be recorded as well for folks who aren't able to make the actual event, to be able to watch at a later date, or have it posted somewhere, or is it a one-time only thing?
This is a one-time only thing. It's to do with the contract, like the copyright rights to doing the play.
Of course.
People have to purchase tickets in advance, and then they'll be directed to a private Facebook event. And it's going to be streamed very much like the MQFF was, like in the same way the films were, of course, not being done live, but then it transitioned directly into the Q&A talkback afterwards. So it's going to be very much that same way. And this is on Friday the 24th. What time will this start at? I think it's scheduled for 7 o'clock. Okay. On the 24th.
7 p.m.
And the actual performance will take how long? And then how long do you have afterwards for the Q&A session?
The performance will be about 2.25 hours, I'm going to say. I haven't pieced it all together yet, but it's going to run. There's not going to be any like intermissions or anything like that, so it should run pretty smoothly at a 2.25, and then probably a half hour to 45-minute talk back.
That's awesome. Wow. Okay, I'm excited for that. I'm actually going to be on holidays, and it always turns out every year of the Muskoka Pride Festival is when I am on holidays, and it falls also within my wedding anniversary. So we always go away, and while we can't go out east where we normally go, we're sticking to Ontario and Quebec this year. But again, the good news about that is the fact that it's virtual. I can still, if worst case scenario, pull up my phone and watch. So I will definitely be tuning in and getting my tickets.
Awesome.
Tickets. How do folks get tickets for this performance?
So they can go to muskokapride.com, and there's several links there to purchase the tickets through Eventbrite.
And ticket prices?
Well, we have suggested ticket price of $10, but it's a pay what you can. We really wanted to keep this open and accessible to everyone.
Okay. Well, $10, that's pretty decent. But excuse me, I'm assuming if folks wanted to pay more than $10 as a way of supporting Muskoka Pride, that's an option for them as well. Or okay, cool. Because I mean we're Simcoe Muskoka, right? And we've got cottage country and folks coming up from Toronto and staying in their big houses on the lake. So come on, folks, chip in $20 at least. It definitely would be worth it. Because how much would a performance like this cost if folks were to see it in the theater district in Toronto live or in New York, Autumn?
A reading usually is about 25.
Okay. But
it can go up from there. I mean, depending on the theater company, depending on,
right.
the benefits, So there's usually a sliding scale for those too. 25 to 1,000, whatever people want to pay, whatever, they can. It's pay what you can. So,
yeah.
I know a lot of people, artists right now are struggling because they are not employed. So it is up to them what they can contribute.
Absolutely, which I think is important for those of us who have the means to be able to pay a little bit more, that we do so to show our support and help to benefit Muskoka Pride and help to grow the festival, because these things, even virtually, don't come at zero expense for the organization. So we want to be able to make sure that Muskoka Pride stays viable, and there's going to be a Pride 2021, right? So speaking of Muskoka Pride, Shawn, can you give us a little bit of history behind Muskoka Pride? How long have you folks been around? I've only been living in Simcoe, Muskoka now for 3 years, so I'm still a newbie to the area. So give me some background on Muskoka Pride.
Muskoka Pride started back in 2009. Our very first picnic had a whopping 26 people attending. We did not advertise it very well. It was a lot of hush-hush emails and Facebook messages back and forth because no one really knew what the response would be. Within about 3 years, we were up to about 200 people attending our annual picnic. We had found a permanent location in Bracebridge. We started expanding to a week of events, flag raisings across all the towns. And there was pushback. I mean, we initially only did one flag raising. The following year, 3 flag raisings, and it took us another few years to get all 6 municipalities raising the flag, and we've been doing that for the last 6 or 7 or 8 years. But it's been an interesting progression like that. We've gone from a festival averaging 300 people or so at the picnic. Last year, I believe we topped 1,000 people attending our picnic and our parade.
Wow! So
it has had good growth and very organic growth. And it's been great to see. A lot of people recommend our festival to people in Toronto or elsewhere because it's very much a grassroots community base. It's not heavy on the corporate sponsorships. It's not heavy. It's very good for an introductory festival for families and people who maybe have not experienced Pride before. It really is sort of a small town Pride.
That's fantastic. So this is year number 11 for the festival then?
Actually, this is year number 12, believe it or not.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. Okay, and Autumn, this production of the Laramie Project is through Littlewoodsmith Theatre Company, correct?
Yes.
So tell me a little bit about the theatre company and what you folks do outside of the Laramie Project and this Pride initiative.
Well, we are pretty new. I started Littlewoodsmith last September, I guess. And It's based on my hero, Joan Littlewood. That's where the Littlewood comes from, paired with my last name, Smith. And Joan Littlewood was an advocate for making theater and art accessible to everyone. So our subtitle is By the People, for the People. And the goal is to make arts education and performance accessible to everybody here in Muskoka. So I like you, I've just moved into the area about 2 years ago to be with my partner and kids. So yeah, it's new, and I'm really excited. It's such a beautiful place to be, and I feel so fortunate. And the community is remarkable.
Oh, absolutely. What part of Muskoka are you in?
I live in Bracebridge. We live in Bracebridge, but I do a lot of work in Gravenhurst. I was actually supposed to direct Citronella, a new musical at the Gravenhurst Opera House this summer, but that did not happen. So for the obvious reason.
Yes.
So
yes.
I work a lot with the Gravenhurst Opera House. I do my classes out of there. And hopefully that will be a relationship that continues once COVID is under wraps, as it were.
Yes. Yeah. Well, that's great. It's important that we bring, the arts to Simcoe Muskoka and have that accessibility for folks in our area without having to go to Toronto or larger metropolitan areas to actually see a good quality play, right?
Yeah, and a lot of our mandate is to engage the community in their own story. So telling stories about this area that people from this area take part in and write. So I'm interested in people who have been here for a long time sharing their narratives.
That's cool. Now, is there a queer focus to these stories, or is it more broad based than that?
It's more broad-based. I'm queer, so I am interested in engaging in all stories.
Sure.
But queer stories always are part of my list for sure.
Absolutely.
Just because that is my lived experience, and yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's important to show those queer stories because a lot of those stories seen through a queer lens are therefore seen to be very similar to the general human experience, right? So
yes,
and I think we see that and saw that. We had a discussion around this issue when we spoke about the Muskoka Queer Film Festival when Michelle and Elena were on the show with you, Shawn, and I think that's important that we highlight that and let folks know that there are queer folks living in Simcoe Muskoka, and you're looking at 3 of them on your TV screen right now.
Yeah.
Or your computer or whoever you're watching this show. So
it's true. And, I think theater and performance has the capacity to allow the audience to engage the world with more empathy. It allows in different perspectives. Whether we really notice it while we're witnessing the work or not, I think it just sits and Sure. we can create a better society through live performance.
Absolutely, couldn't agree more. And yeah, it's unfortunate that things have shut down right now and we can't actually enjoy live performances. My husband and I had tickets to see Hamilton, and we're absolutely gutted because I spent a lot of money on these tickets and got amazing seats for us for his birthday and gave them to him for Christmas, and we were all excited about this weekend in Toronto, and then damn coronavirus.
Now you have to watch it on Disney Plus.
Yes, which we did the other night and loved it, and it's a fabulous performance, but you still, I mean, there's something about watching live performances that really, I think they stay with you longer than a movie does. There are a lot of powerful movies out there, and again, this was a powerful production of the actual live event, so it was cool in that respect. But to not physically be in those seats watching live folks doing this performance is it's not quite as impactful, but certainly certainly powerful nonetheless. So I applaud you for being able to continue to do this work in some fashion in a virtual format now that we're struggling with COVID-19. So good on you for that. Shawn, tell us a little bit more then about what folks can expect with the physically distanced events that you've got happening this year.
Well, I'll be encouraging people to wear things such as this.
Nice.
Our special Muskoka Pride face masks.
I like it.
Our volunteers will be wearing this year. We be expecting people will, of course, physically distance themselves. Again, some of the ones I'm looking forward to the most actually is the Driveway Drag Show. It looks to be a lot of fun where it happens in Toronto, and we're excited to be having it happen up here. We do have some local drag performers from the Bracebridge, Arroyo, Barrie area, and we're excited to be able to showcase that in a non-typical or non-traditional performance setting.
Are you able to give us a little bit of tease as to who these performers will be rather?
I'm not at liberty to say because I'm still waiting for the lead coordinator to confirm who is taking part. Katja Contessa is the sort of the one coordinating things here in Muskoka, also known as Joshua Ray. He's kind of taken the lead of what used to be the Sawdust City royalty. Of course, they're not at Sawdust City this year. So we needed a name for them, I guess, for this year.
Absolutely, and they'll be. I'm assuming during the drag drive show that we'll be watching online, the folks will have an opportunity to tip the performers as well.
Yeah, we'll have a method that people can provide tips virtually, and for those people are allowed to come physically to them. We've chosen 2 driveways that are on quieter streets so people can congregate here. Again, we want everyone to be very safe about it. Because drag performance is best when you have a live audience. So we definitely are encouraging people to be there, but anyone who doesn't feel safe or who is further away, we will be doing our best to live stream them on Facebook. Sometimes Facebook algorithm doesn't like when music is playing, so we're going to be crossing our fingers and hoping for the best.
Fantastic. So what you're saying, those who go and watch physically distanced live can actually throw toonies at the drag performers then?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Make an aim.
Just if you're going to throw a toonie, just keep it low. Hit their feet, don't hit them in the head. Listen, I'm seeing from my my little reminder beside me here that we're very low on time, so I'm going to say thank you, Shawn, Autumn, for being on the show today. I am really looking forward to being able to watch the virtual edition of the Laramie Project. I think it's a powerful story to be told, even though we're talking 22 years ago that Matthew Shepard was murdered, but it still resonates today, and it's important that we keep that conversation going and don't forget, right? So I thank you for that. I think it's a great initiative. Looking forward to Muskoka Pride 2020. Thanks again, Shawn, Autumn, for being on the show, and thank you for watching another episode of Let's Be Perfectly Queer.